Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I want to talk to you about some basic care and maintenance for your granite surface plate. In front of you here, this is my new Starrett granite surface plate. I took delivery of this back at the beginning of this year, 2023, and it has been a goal of mine for many years to own and have a plate of this size in my shop. And now that I finally have one in my possession here, I want to be sure that this plate is cared for and not abused or damaged in any way. So I would like to go over some of those basic care procedures that everyone should consider whenever you're using your granite surface plate. A little bit about my plate here. This was manufactured by the LS Starrett company. It was actually manufactured by their Tru-Stone division up in Waite Park, Minnesota. And that is where Starrett manufactures all of their granite products, including their surface plate and all of the surface plate accessories, such as parallels, master squares, V-blocks, and things like that. My particular granite plate measures 72 inches long, it's 36 inches wide, it is 10 inches thick, and I have 2 ledges on my plate. The ledges can be very useful for things like using clamps. If you've got a part on here, maybe you have a straight edge that you want to clamp down to the plate to prevent it from moving, you can use the ledge for C-clamps and things like that. Granite plates typically come in 3 different grades. You have your grade B, your grade A, and then your AA grade. My granite plate is a grade A, and it's perfect for what I plan to use my plate for. Now, you may not have a need for an inspection grade, which is what the grade A is and what I have. You might consider a grade B. Grade B is perfect for a granite plate that needs to live out in the shop, out in the work environment. Maybe it's next to a machine, a workstation where a machinist may be taking parts out of the machine, and you have an indicator set up on there so you can take comparative measurements whenever you're pulling parts off a machine, and you sweep it under an indicator and you check it, and you're using a granite plate in that manner all day long, okay? Perfect for that kind of stuff. The inspection grade, which is what I have here, is excellent to go in a tool room. I have my granite plate set up in my office here, so the office kind of doubles as a inspection room and my desk. It's climate controlled, it's away from the shop. We don't have chips flinging onto it and anything like that. So it's in a protected environment. I have climate control in here so we can keep the humidity down and keep it at a comfortable temperature, which is another important thing you should consider with your granite surface plate. So with the 3 different grades, you're obviously going to have 3 different tolerances there. And I would like to talk about the tolerance in which my plate was lapped to. And anytime you purchase a granite surface plate, it should come with a certificate of accuracy, which is what I have here from Starrett. We'll talk briefly about my certificate of accuracy, and we also have the final inspection report that was done by Starrett, that was done previous to shipping it out to me. As I mentioned, mine being a grade A, they take 2 different measurements to inspect these guys before they ship it out. One is for flatness, which is ultimately what we're looking for here, is having a nice flat reference surface to work off of, in which all of your measurements will be taken off of from that point. When they measure the flatness, they used an auto collimator with an 8-inch mirror, and the actual reading was 1/10 of 1,000. So 4 decimal places, 1/10, and that is an overall distance from end to end in flatness there. So we have a very flat granite surface plate on our hands right here. They also use a repeatometer, and I don't have a repeatometer to show you, but this is an instrument that is used. It has a dial indicator on it, and it's used to slide and sweep across the surface of your granite surface plate, and it helps indicate and show you local readings. For example, you may have a little worn spot in the granite plate somewhere where it's being used quite a bit, and if you sweep that repeatometer across that area, it'll give you what the depth is if you have low spots worn into a granite plate. So whenever they used the repeatometer on my granite plate, it had a reading of 40 millionths of an inch. So 5 decimal places. That's pretty flat, okay? The allowable tolerance on that is 80 millionths with using a repeatometer. And going back to the flatness, when I said we were 1/10 of 1,000ths flat from end to end there, the allowable tolerance on that is 6/10. Okay, so well within the tolerances that's required for a grade A plate. So we have a very nice flat granite surface plate on our hands here. And I want to be sure that I take care of it, that this plate is not abused in any way, and that we don't cause any damage on it. And I also want to be sure that anyone that may come into my shop and work with me and work on this granite plate also does not do any damage or hurt this plate in any way. I want to protect it. It's an investment, and as long as you protect your plate and use it as it was intended to be used for, then it should last you a very long time and always be accurate and ready for you whenever you're ready to come in here and take precision measurements off of it. So let's talk about setting up your granite surface plate, making sure that it's set up properly whenever you receive it, whether you purchase one brand new like mine here, or maybe you buy a used one. Your granite plate should always be setting on 3 points. There is a 4-point system that granite can be set on, but I don't know the specifics of that, so we're not going to go into that. What I'm aware of and what I was taught is the 3 points that it should be sitting on. Most manufacturers, including Starrett that I know of, set these granite plates on 3 points at the factory, and that's where they're set from that point on through all of the lapping procedures and storage, shipping, and then when it's set up for permanent use. So always be sure that your plate is setting on those 3 points. Whenever I received my plate new here, they already had the 3 rubber pads underneath this where it was setting, so there was no messing with that. We simply lifted the plate up and set it down on the metal stand here. It's really important that it's setting properly on those points, or you're not going to get the accuracy in which the plate was lapped to. It's important to treat these granite surface plates with respect. They are a precision tool, a precision instrument, just as important as any other precision tool that you keep in your toolbox, and that's how they should be looked at and treated. This is not a workbench, it's not a table, it's not a catch-all. If you've got things in your hands, you might have your coffee cup, you got your lunch over here, you got a tool underneath this arm, and you're coming in here and you're looking for a place to set stuff down. Don't set that stuff down on your granite surface plate. That is wrong. That is disrespectful to the plate and to whoever owns that plate and uses it. That's why it's important to have workbenches and extra tables in your work area here around the granite plate to set all of those other things on. Okay, you can see I've got a workbench right back here. I've got all of our other tools setting there, and whenever I need to use one of those on the plate, that's when I take it and I set it down over here on the granite plate to be used. The only thing that should be on this plate besides the cover is your fixturing, your accessories, or your measuring tools, or the work pieces themselves whenever you're ready to use the granite plate. Whenever it's not being used, everything should be off out of the way and it should be covered up to protect it. Granite plates are typically mounted either on a heavy duty stand like mine is. I have a nice steel fabricated stand with 4 leveling feet so that you can level this guy out properly. But sometimes you might find a granite plate on a mobile stand or a mobile cart that has casters. If you have your granite plate on a mobile stand like that, it's important that you have locking casters so that you can lock it in place. But I believe even better, you should have some kind of jacks on the stand so that once you get your granite plate rolled out to where you're going to get it and use it, you can lock those wheels to keep it from moving, or run those jacks down so that it stabilizes the plate, keeps it from moving around, and so that you can level it out there as well. Whenever I set this up, I adjusted the 4 leveling feet and got it pretty close to level, but it's not completely level yet. That's something else that we're gonna get into with my plate, is getting in here, and I wanna make sure I try to get this guy as level as possible. Here's a little bit better look at my stand that the granite plate is setting on. This was manufactured by Starrett, and you can kind of see the 3 points if I hover the camera right there, all right? But what I was wanting to point out is the 4 leveling feet here. That's an important feature to have on your stand so that whenever you get your granite plate set up, you can properly level this guy out, especially if it's going to be in a permanent position like mine is right here. This is where it's going to stay, and so I want to make sure I get it leveled out nice. I machined those steel pucks that the leveling bolts are sitting on. to provide a little bit more stability there on the floor, okay? But I also wanted to point out this mat that I put out around my granite surface plate. Now, this was just my own personal preference doing this. This is a sticky back industrial mat made by the Pig Corporation, New Pig. It's got a sticky backside so that it sticks down to the floor. It's made for industrial applications like this, so it helps absorb water off of your shoe whenever you're coming in. You know, whenever I walk into the office here, I might have a little bit of moisture on my shoe. It helps collect that. But the other reason behind having this mat here for me was to help reduce the amount of dust that I'm going to be kicking up as I'm walking around the plate using it, okay? That's something that is a problem that we all have to deal with when we're using a plate, is that we're constantly kicking up dust particles, and you're constantly having to wipe it off whenever you're using it or before you set anything down on the granite plate. So this mat right here is nice, having a little bit of cushion between your feet and the floor, and helps absorb any a little bit of dust as we're using the granite surface plate. So let's move on to a very important step, which is cleaning your granite surface plate. It is important that you do this each and every day whenever you're going to be using your granite surface plate. So I always keep my cover on my plate, as I mentioned before. So we're going to go ahead and remove the cover. After the cover has been removed, it's important to go ahead and wipe the granite plate off. If you wipe your hand across here, you're going to feel dust particles on your fingers there. So I use these low lint solvent wipers by Pig, and just begin by wiping the granite plate off. After you wipe it off, rub it with your hand. You may still feel some of those lint particles or dust that's floating around in the air, and you just keep wiping it until it feels completely clean. Okay, that feels good. I have two types of cleaner here from Starrett that I use on our granite surface plate. The first one being this granite surface plate cleaner. This is a liquid-based cleaner with the spray nozzle there. And then the second being a waterless cleaner. Now this is my favorite one to use, but this is not one that we use every day. This is a paste style of cleaner. So you just take a clean towel and dab a little bit and rub it on there and buff it in really well, and then wipe it completely dry. The other reason why I like using this is that it gives it a really nice polished look whenever you're done cleaning it with the waterless. But an important thing to keep in mind is to never use water on your granite surface plate. Despite what people may say or what you've been told, water does absorb into the granite, and that can change the flatness and the accuracy of your granite surface plate. So never use water. If you want to use another type of cleaner, another one that's recommended is fast evaporating alcohol. That works really well to clean your granite surface plate. But no matter what cleaner you use, always wipe it completely dry and make sure there's no moisture whatsoever on your plate before you start using it. If you do use a liquid-based cleaner on your granite, what they recommend is that you wait 30 minutes after you clean it before you start using it to take measurements. And the reason behind that is that the liquid could potentially change the flatness and accuracy of the plate. And they want you to give it that 30 minutes so that it can restabilize and make sure that you're going to be within the accuracy at which your plate is manufactured to. I'll demonstrate just a little section here with our liquid-based cleaner. Always use a clean towel whenever you're getting ready to do this. Just simply spray a little bit on and wipe it clean, and just keep wiping it. Of course, you're going to do the whole table here, but just keep wiping it until you wipe up all of the moisture off of the cleaner. But using these designated surface plate cleaners like this right here is going to ensure that you're completely cleaning the surface of the plate. Got a little bit of moisture there from the towel, so I just keep wiping it until it's completely clean. All right, so when I use this, it's sort of like in between our work whenever we're using the granite surface plate for our inspection and work, and I want to just clean off a section. That's when I'll use this. But if I come in here to use it for the day, I like to go ahead and start out with the waterless cleaner and get it completely clean before we start moving on to our measurements. So we're going to go ahead and clean the entire plate with this waterless right here and show you how that works. Just dab a little bit on the towel there. A little bit goes a long way. You can see the dirtiness on the towel there. That's getting any of the oil or grease or anything that was on the tools from the last time that we were using the plate. Now that we've got it cleaned with our waterless cleaner, I've got another new towel, and we're going to go ahead and buff it and get it completely dry of any of the moisture from the cleaner and get it wiped and removed from the plate. Now I'm just looking across it with the reflection of the light there to see if I missed any spots. I can see a few. You just want to make sure that every bit of the cleaner is wiped away, that there's no moisture left on the plate. Now this isn't a necessary step, but that's something I like to do because it just makes the granite look that much more pretty. I like to go ahead and wipe the sides there as well, just because I've got the towel with the waterless cleaner already in it. And I'm going to repeat that on all four sides. We now have a perfectly clean surface plate ready to use, ready for inspection. You can go right ahead after using the waterless and go ahead and immediately start using it there. But just take a look at that surface, man. It is beautiful. See that reflection in the light in the doorway? That is one smooth, flat granite surface plate right there. And it should feel very smooth to the hand. And as you start working on it, it's important that even though we cleaned it, when you come up here and start setting your tools and your work pieces on the plate, wipe it every time with your hand, because even that right there, I'm feeling just very, very minute dust particles from the air floating around, walking and kicking things up. It's going to continue to settle on the plate. So just remember to always wipe the plate before you set anything down on it, including the tools or the parts that you're using there as well. Right before you set them down, go ahead and give the plate a wipe and give your tools a wipe, and you'll be ready to use it. Now we have our surface plate clean with our waterless cleaner, and we're ready to move on to use it for our inspection or our measurement or our setup work. So at this point, you want to go ahead and take your hand and wipe it, because there's going to be very minute dust particles that are floating around in the air that are settling down this plate, especially as you're walking around. So just go ahead and wipe it clean. Again, this is very important. You have to do this over and over again when you're using a plate, okay? All right, we also have our tool that we're going to be using over here on the granite. So what I would like to do is just go ahead, we got a clean rag. I'm just going to wipe the base here, make sure that there is no oil or anything on the tool. And before we set it down, I'm going to take my hand, go ahead and give it another wipe, like that. We're going to wipe the plate. Wipe it until you no longer feel dust. Wipe it, wipe it. Now, here's the important thing. Set it down gently. Be absolutely delicate when you're setting tools, work pieces, fixtures, anything on your granite. Okay, so we have our indicator base that we're going to set on there to use. And what I'm going to do is the same thing. This may have a little bit of oil residue on there, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the clean rag, wipe it, make sure there's no oil. This is clean. All right, we're going to repeat that process. I'm going to wipe it with my hand. Make sure there's no lint, dust, or anything that settle on there, and we're going to re-wipe the granite plate. Wipe it with your hand. You keep wiping and just go from one side to the other until you no longer feel that dust. Wipe the tool one more time, wipe that off, all right? And we're gonna set the tool down on the granite plate gently. Remember that. Very gentle, just like that. Now we have a completely clean surface plate ready to use for our job right here. And when this plate is clean, your tools and everything should just glide across here almost effortlessly. It's such a beautiful thing to feel these precision tools being slid across a nicely polished and clean surface plate. It is very important that you keep it clean all the time while you're using your tools here. You're going to be wiping this thing constantly. Keep in mind, you may be using it here and then you walk away for a minute or two or whatever, and you come back and you might need to move this over here to this side or sweep something across there. Wipe it again. You're going to constantly be wiping the plate to remove any dust or dirt that's settling on it while you're using it, okay? It's very important that you do that, because anything that is caught between the surface of this precision granite plate and your tool or your workpiece or these fixtures is going to cause potential damage to the surface plate, or damage to your tools, or even scratch up your workpiece there as well. So it's one of the most important things to remember, is to have a clean granite surface plate all the time. Keep it clean, keep it wiped, set things down gently. You don't want to set something down hard and chip the surface of this granite surface plate, all right? Some of the most important things that you can remember right there. So we cleaned our granite surface plate. We showed some examples of proper use and care, how to use it, how to use your tools, how to gently set things down on there, okay? But we're through using it for the day. Now it's time to cover it back up. Always keep your cover on it when it's not being used. If you don't have a slip cover like this, you can easily make one out of a piece of plywood. You can line the inside of the plywood with some felt or some kind of cotton material like that to keep it nice and soft. But just remember, always keep it covered up. Now that we have our granite surface plate covered back up, it has been cleaned, it has been covered, it is ready for the next use there. So some of the key things to always keep in mind regarding your granite surface plate is to keep it clean. When you're not using it, keep it covered, and do not treat it like a workbench or a catch-all. Don't set your coffee on it. Don't set your lunch on it. You and your coworkers are not supposed to be hanging around this thing and leaning on it and talking about the weekend activities. This is a precision tool and instrument, and treat it with respect and care. And it's always going to be in good condition and ready for you for the next inspection job that you're going to be using it for. So those are just some of the key maintenance procedures to always keep in mind regarding your granite surface plate, and proper use of the plate there as well. I do have some other subjects that I would like to continue revisiting with you on these videos. I would like to revisit leveling the granite surface plate. I never did come back and get it perfectly level like I wanted to, so I'd like to come back and show you how we're going to do that. And then also show some of the other uses of the granite surface plate. Things like inspection work, layout work, and comparative measurements and things of that nature. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you come back again for some more content. I enjoyed having you here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.